Do you remember this bit though when he opened the door? This was the first moment you saw him. There he is! Hi. And this is your date, Matt.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh yeah, lovely. Oh, that's
My
very
hands are
sweet.
cold. I'm sorry, it was quite cold out there.
No, they're not. They're a tiny bit clammy, I'd say. I was going to say, Matt, meet Ray.
Oh, hi.
Ray.
Meet Matt. Do you remember how you felt last time? We can stop.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you remember how you felt last time you walked through that door? Some people have told me that for the blokes, that's the worst bit, standing by the door. You can hear a little bit of noise, you can hear people talking.
I think the biggest thing was more the fear of tripping over and looking like a complete idiot when I walked in.
Yeah,
But
okay. You've managed that twice now.
I have, and I've not fallen over yet. No, I don't actually remember how I felt. I think it was just so much of it kind of built up to that moment of walking in that you're so excited but also a bit unsure and a bit nervous, and it kind of got to a point where you're like, right, this is it, I'm just going to open the door, because you have no idea what to expect.
Although I do feel like I have an apology to issue, because having watched it back,
Way overdue.
all of the jokes that were included in the edit, and maybe this is just a reflection of how the date went, is me being really mean to you.
Yeah.
It is.
To be fair,
so mean.
I did give you just as good back, but it was cut out.
Oh, was it cut out?
There was a lot of sass that was removed, so it did
remove
look.
some of his sass.
Yeah.
It looked a bit like I was just like, you turned up on this date and I was making it like the dodgems for you, like just throwing stuff at you while you're trying to date Ray.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of dodgems you've been on, but I don't.
You know, I don't know. I don't dodge ball. So that's me rewinding.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do a bang again?
Bang!
Okay. I knew it was coming, but I still was like surprised by it. What made you guys decide to come on the show? Like go all the way back?
I think I'd been kind of on the dating app for a couple of months, and I had been toing and froing between whether I was enjoying the process. I was a bit overwhelmed with some of the kind of responsibility of messaging people, kind of not getting much back. And I basically just got to the point where the opportunity came. Salt actually contacted me and said, do you want to do this? And I said, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I said, I'm a pretty good risk taker. And actually, the worst thing that can happen is I have a good time in London and make some memories. So that's what I did.
Perfect.
I hadn't really had much time to process what I was doing or what was happening, other than just that I was going to go on a date. And I'd kind of anticipated the moment and been like, oh, do you know what? I kind of given up on the dating app for a little bit because I was a bit overwhelmed. So I thought, do you know what? I'll have this as a last hurrah. Maybe I'll have some luck. And I did. So that was good.
Don't spoil the ending for us.
Sorry, I'm still not sure, to be honest.
We're still like between around maybe.
So how come you decided to come on the show?
Kind of similar, I guess. I was just like, I don't know if the dating app's working, but I hadn't really given it very long. But I was just like, I don't really know. And it's totally out of my comfort zone. Like, I would never normally choose to do it. And I got an email from Isabel and was like, it took me a really long time to reply because I was like, is this a scam? Like, what is quite going on? Like, who's contacting me out of the blue? Do I even want to do it? Like, this is not something I do. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I haven't dated much before, and a lot of that has just been because I'm just so adverse to put myself out there. So I was like, if I'm going to change anything in my life, like, I just need to, just generally in life, put myself out and just be more adventurous. And I was like, sure, what's the worst that can happen? I turn up at some random house and get kidnapped. But, you know.
And she's still been here this whole time.
She's been in the basement the whole time.
I was so frustrated when I saw you guys because I was like, this is just not a match. Like, and I find, and sometimes, so what happens with the process is all the applicants come in and lots of them meet with Isabel and stuff like that. And some of them we already know, which is great. And then I go through everything and I make matches. Every now and again, Isabel overrides me, she changes something, or literally she agrees, like that would be a good match, but the timings don't work out. And I'm pretty sure I did not match you guys. I'd have to go through like the email train to check, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. And when you both came, I was like, does she know how difficult it is to sit here with two people when you just know they're not going to get on? Like, we need to do better. What did you kind of expect you were walking into in terms of your partner?
I had given like a loose guide as to the type of person that I was looking for, but to be honest, it was more character traits than physical.
Yeah.
So it was quite difficult to judge off that immediate walking in and just seeing the person.
Yeah.
And even during the date, I just felt like it, because there's a lot of like of a performance aspect of making good entertainment.
What? What?
It's not scripted, obviously.
I mean, I was here just being like myself.
Yeah.
And yeah. I was trying to be genuine, and there you were, just like with your pudding bowl haircut. Being like...
You walked in, you sat on a date. What was your favourite part of your date? What's the bit that stands out in your memory as like a really fun thing that you think of really fondly?
I just remember kind of the interactions and the banter between us. I think there was it was quite welcoming, because sitting opposite a person you've never met before, you have no context as to kind of how to approach the dynamic. But so having a conversation with the three of us and kind of feeling a bit put at ease by the fact that you can have a laugh and just be yourself. I think the bang moment was it really went off with a bang. Yeah, it was good. And the accidental pun as well from me. When she said she was a seamstress, and I went, "Oh, that's so cool," and then I watch it back and I'm laughing because I can see myself laughing at my own joke, even though it was an accident. So it was really fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Nice. What was your favourite part?
I literally had like 9 months to process it, and I still can't.
All of it? None of it?
Yes, all of it. Meeting you.
Oh! When did you know that you were going to go IRL? When did you make that decision?
After the filmed date part. We went upstairs, and then the room gets moved around a little bit. When we were talking upstairs, it was kind of then in that.
What did you say upstairs off camera?
We were just so flirty and just, no. I don't really know.
And that's where we had our first kiss.
We were just chatting. Matt named your doorstop.
For context, it's a little like...
Is it... A little dog.
It's a little dog.
Yeah,
I told my dad I wanted a dog, and he sent me that in the post instead. He was like, "That'll do." So it's a little boxer dog.
Yeah, his name's Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
Yeah. That was not the date. That was not what you said on the date.
Oh.
You said Barry.
Barry.
Oh.
Wow.
He's changed his name. Didn't stick with it. He's had an identity crisis.
Now
he's now a chihuahua.
Like
to be honest, it was literally just, I don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
Like, how do we start? Where are you from? Like, what do you do? Because when you come into a date like this, it really is like you've never even thought of that person before. Other than this imaginary thing. And there is a moment where you have to sort of take that imaginary thing and throw it away, and then take on, like, embrace the reality of, like, the person's right in front of you.
Yeah,
like,
that's such good advice.
How do we proceed?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we went up, and honestly, it was nothing special. There was no immediate like sparks, other than us being like, actually, this person's really nice.
To be honest, you walked in, and I was like, oh, he's not my type. Okay. Well, not my type, but I was like, oh, I don't know if I find him attractive. And then we were talking on the date, and I was like, I don't really know. But then we were upstairs and we were talking, and it was just like a really natural chat.
Yeah.
And I think we both are quite deep and quite connect on like a conversation level kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that I was like, oh, actually he's interesting. Like, I don't know if it'll go any further, but it's like interesting to just find out more about him. And then it was like after that I then was like, oh, and he's pretty hot. So well, as you would say, foxy.
I did ask if you thought he was foxy. That's the only time I've used that word on the show.
I'm so glad it's the only time.
Tell me then, when did you know you were going to go IRL? Was it in that conversation, or were you pretty sure, like, during the day beforehand?
To be honest, it was definitely like reinforced by the chat. I think
You're saying you didn't walk in and you just found me so attractive.
To be honest, I was lucky I was still standing.
I was like, exactly.
Wow, Lord, thank you. I just walked in and I was just so amazed by your outstanding beauty that I just collapsed.
Obviously.
We had to refilm the take 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, he really just dragged himself to the table.
It was a bit of a weird one actually, because of the whole, like, the way that my brain works is it's just over processing everything. So actually I was thinking probably more about the date and what was being said than I was about Ray in the instance. It was only actually then when we went upstairs that I was able to put actually a human to the person sitting opposite. And it was quite surreal, because I knew that I liked the concept of you, because like all the things you had said had ticked the right boxes, but actually as soon as you went upstairs and we spoke, and we just spoke just plainly without any cameras, with no sort of like pre-written questions. Instead, it was just me and you. And actually that became so much more real, and the quality of the conversation didn't have to be much in order for it to get an idea of kind of where we were each standing and whether it would actually work, because I didn't actually know where you were from. And actually the fact that you were 120, 30 miles away at that point wasn't...
Yeah, you were fuming about that. You sent us a follow-up email. You did.
Did I?
Yeah. You sent us an email saying
I said
that we should match people who are close together.
I said
and
it's
I was
going...
like, no, because you guys could have found each other on Salt if you lived in the same place.
It's true. I mean, we... Did I send that email?
Wow.
Yeah.
I sent an email saying it's going really well, and then tagged on
it
there.
wasn't just a mean email.
Okay.
It was like a very lovely email.
Makes me
And then you were like,
really
bit of
mean.
feedback. No. It was a really nice thing. We were very pleased to hear from you.
Okay, good.
Good job.
Thanks.
How did you feel when you realised the other person had said IRL? Because actually that's a moment, isn't it? Particularly if you know you've chosen IRL and you're like, all right, this could be the moment I turn around and get like a kick in the face.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait till I like peeked around.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. I think it was a compliment, but I was like, oh, we'll just see. Like I was like, oh, just not really take anything to. But yeah, it's definitely like, oh, this feels good. Like it's nice that he also agrees, but he lived in Loughborough, so I was like, it's too far. It wasn't because I was
And where are you based?
Kent.
Kent
So-
to Loughborough. Okay, that's a
it's
bit of a mission. Fair enough. I understand the email. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I tell you something that we loved about your date. So initially, I genuinely thought like, well, this will be fun because I thought both of you were very fun, and I had seen, and we send off a couple of questions to you guys. So I had a bit of info about you before, and I knew that you had some really funny stories and you had the wildest job ever. So I had some information, and I was like, right, all of these ingredients make a great date, but does this make a match? And I was like, okay, sadly not this time. Never mind. And you can, in my initial thing, I was like, okay, it's not a match, let's just enjoy the ride then. And then when I spoke to you one-on-one, I felt pretty sure that you were going to say, yes, I want to go on another date. You held your cards quite close to your chest, so I wasn't 100%.
Decided.
Yeah, there you go. But one thing that really sat with us is that when I asked you about Ray, in that chat, you said, because actually, like, you weren't very overt in, like you said, you know, you held yourself back a little bit in the date as well, and sort of had to drag you to do a couple of things that you didn't love the idea of, and you sort of threw yourself into it, and you said, I see you. And we were like, oh my gosh, he sees her. You get the people who are like life and soul, they make everyone see them. But for the person who sits back and says, no, the right people will see me, for somebody to just sit there and be like, I already know there's so much more here, felt really special for us. And that's what we talked about when you were upstairs, falling in love.
No. I don't think it was quite that at that moment, but you know.
To us, we were like, okay, hang on. I was like, I've misjudged it. And then it was actually Haven behind the camera who was like, there's something special here. So yeah, and she was the person who called that out. So tell us what happened after you left here.
Yeah, so we were like, oh, we both have time. Matt was going to see a theatre show in the evening.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, because he was like, well, I'm going down to London. We might make the most of the opportunity.
Catch a
date
cabaret.
may or may not go well. And then, so we had time to kill after the date. And I was like, well, I'm already here. Might as well. So we went for coffee, a place down the road, which we went to today on our way in. I know, we're so cute.
It was very cute.
Did you order the same thing?
No, we had even better this time.
Perfect.
It was better this time.
It was better.
Yeah, and we sat in the coffee shop. I think we left here about 2. We were still in the coffee shop when it shut at like 5. So we were just like chatting, and I was like, oh, I think that went okay.
Yeah, there was definitely a moment where you turned...
I don't know if I ever see him again, you know. I'm not really sure if it's going anywhere, but you know, just a conversation.
We had 3 hours in there, and it was when you turned to me and were like, oh my gosh, it's nearly 5. And I sort of looked at the clock and was like, oh my gosh, it's nearly 5. And we had that moment where you're like, okay, this is going quite well. Because you don't have 3 hours just simply chatting. There was no other fluffy stuff going on. We weren't filling it with any other activities. It was literally just chatting. I think that level of engagement really surprised both of us off the bat, that we could be so open and honest with each other and just chat and do that for 3 hours and then immediately be like, gosh. And both of us were surprised by that, because we all know that when you're in a bad day, it feels like an hour after 10 minutes. So 3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours is like a really substantial amount of time for you to fly by.
And also, like, we were chatting on the walk back to the station afterwards, just about like, okay, next steps, like what's gonna happen. And then we were just like really open about like, well, this is what communication works for me and this is what not. So I'm quite severely dyslexic and just struggle with words in general. So I was like, I can't do text message. If you expect text message, like, we might as well just not bother, because like, I just can't do it. Yeah. So if you need text messages like consistently or every day or like a whole conversation, that's I just can't do that. Video chats work for me. So like pretty much straight off the bat, we were like doing like 5 hour long video chats like 2 or 3 times a week.
It was
and then we were like, maybe this is a little much, we should probably video chat, but just consistently and maybe not for 5 hours at a time.
Well, I think the reality is you literally have no context for who this person is, where they're from.
Yeah.
So that, I think when you go on a blind date, the thing you don't consider is you have to get to know each other properly. And neither of us had really anticipated it actually being a match. So we hadn't mentally prepared for what the next season would look like. And being a sort of a good distance apart from each other, the only way that we could have that quality time was by chatting. And the nature of Ray's job is that she was able to have that time, and I was in a job where I had a decent amount of chunk of the day when I could chat. So I felt we had a real blessing there, that we were in a position where we could chat for a really good like chunk and do it regularly. And actually that was so substantial when it came to foundation.
To see his face, I was like,
yeah. Look at this face. What happened next? When did you meet in person?
So after the date...
So we met on the Thursday. The date here was on a Thursday. Then Matt had some problems in London and needed some London advice. So then called me on the Friday. And
my gosh, problems in London.
I almost got mugged.
Oh no, that's a real problem in London. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
But I didn't. Thankfully, the police came around the corner because of God being good and stuff. But it was pretty hectic.
So it got sorted.
Okay.
It was like,
So that was a bit
tense.
Panic. Yeah.
It was crazy.
And then it was like, oh, so are you free tomorrow? So we met on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
At that point, though, I'd actually already asked you by message.
Had you?
Yeah, I asked you on the Friday, and then the incident happened. And so I needed someone to call, and my parents weren't available, and there was kind of the next person that came to mind was Ray, because I just felt like, I don't know, there was just something in me was like, actually, I know she would understand and would be the right person to kind of comfort me in the time. And it was great because she said exactly what she needed to say. She didn't say too much, didn't say not enough, and just was there, and that was huge for me, like a really encouraging thing, because times of crisis can often be hard to judge, especially when you're like in a solid fixed relationship.
Yeah, massively.
Yet alone someone you've met once for 4 hours. So anyway, I texted Ray and said, do you want to come on an adventure in London out on the Saturday? Because that was my last day in London and I had nothing planned. So I had done loads. I'd been to see Lion King, Cirque du Soleil on the Thursday and the Friday, but then the Saturday I remember you saying that you were available Thursdays and Saturdays. So I said, do you want to go out? So she, crazy person, said yes.
What did you do? Where did you go?
So we met, we did mini golf.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And then we were wandering around for a bit, then we went, got food, and then went to a museum, and you lost your wallet. We had to go back to the golf for your wallet.
Gosh, you're a nightmare.
It was hectic, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
An adventure.
That
so
is
you definitely delivered on the promise.
Yeah, we did so much. I think the date in total was about 9 hours.
So then how often did you actually manage to see each other? Your long distance relationships can be tough. Did you see each other in person often?
No, so we just did a lot of video calls at the beginning. So we actually started going out officially before we then had our next date.
Oh, that's nice.
He asked me on Valentine's Day.
Oh!
And then we met up the week after.
That's so cute. You're so cute.
You're so cute.
Yeah.
We actually do that.
That's really, yeah, we do. It's really fun.
I'm like,
It's
oh,
so
you're
cheesy.
So cute. And then he's like, oh, you're so cute. I'm like, we're cute.
What do we hope the future holds for you guys? I've got my answer to that question. Have you like met each other's friends, family?
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked about what it would look like to relocate? Have you had conversations about forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us, yeah, don't.
So
I'm trying really hard not to be like the annoying auntie who's like, come on guys, time's a ticking. Because time is not a ticking and everyone's got plenty of time and you're, you know, but just out of interest for a friend, asking for a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll answer part of the question first before
Great.
doing the forever question because that's a big question.
Sure, it's a big question.
Yeah, we meet up every like 2 weeks or so. So we go to each other's area and so like I stay with his family, he stays with my family. So we know each other's families like well.
And does everyone get on? Is everyone
No,
happy
they
for
hate him.
everyone?
Yeah.
No, they're like, oh, not again.
Get him out!
Everyone go out. Ray's bringing Matt around again.
No, he's lovable, so there's no way
He is
people don't
lovable.
love him.
And do your family like Ray?
Yeah, they love her.
I love his sister. Like, I might steal his sister instead.
Okay,
Like,
sure.
Yeah, you know, I'm undecided
Who's your
maybe.
favourite?
Yeah.
We actually went on holiday to where did we go? We went to
Norfolk.
Norfolk, yeah.
And I shared a room with his sister.
Nice.
So
Okay, so you're pretty close.
yeah.
Okay, so then how about you take this one? Have you talked about what could be next stages for you guys?
Yeah.
Are you excited for what that could look like?
Absolutely, yes. I think for both of us, it's one of the journeys that we've done really well is the communication side of like managing expectations and being really honest with where we stood. I mean, it started off with, at the very beginning, when I first met Ray, she was, you know, we met and it was really strange circumstances and neither of us kind of were immediately physically attracted to each other in that kind of...
Obviously you were here, so like we
We
were
were
so
just-
overwhelmed by
Your
the fact
beauty.
you were here.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I did wonder if I was a distraction.
That's it. But I think
Okay, but it grew in time.
That's
your
it, and I think
commitment
Yeah.
and-
the
yeah.
thing
You
that...
say in time. It was like pretty quick to be fair.
It was,
It was
it
like
was.
we went to the coffee shop afterwards. We met up again on the Saturday, and then
You were like,
we were
oh,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, it was quite soon after that I was like, there's something really special and outstanding about Ray. And the best way that I always describe her to other people is like, she's just a woman of great character. And I think there's just so much to be said for just having strong character. We got to the point where we were like, actually, no, I'm taking this seriously. And because I was very intentional with how I approached Ray, you were also great at reciprocating that. And actually the both of us, there wasn't a miscommunication between kind of what we were expecting. I think you said on the way here, actually, Ray, that the goal was either marriage or we just didn't have a second gate. That's kind of what we came into the date with, like the two parameters, because we were very intentional with what we wanted. You know, we'd kind of gone into it with that mindset of, I'm not here for a bit on the side, for a bit of a fling and then ditch it.
Yeah, we were very much like, if we're dating, the goal is marriage.
Yeah.
So if at any point in that,
You know
the
for
goal
sure.
wasn't marriage,
Yeah,
then
that wouldn't be.
that was it.
And that
Yeah.
looked like really intentional conversations, even quite early on around children. Like, what do you think of these like life decisions? Because I don't think you can have those conversations after 6 months dating, because actually some of those things are like, you can't change them. You're not going to like persuade someone to want kids, and it's unfair to do so. So once we'd asked those questions, we actually realised that we were very much on the same path, and that was even more of an encouragement. So we've had conversations around what would it look like to be married. You know,
We had huge conversations about boundaries and stuff at the beginning, about like what that looked like before we got married, because that was like a big point for me.
Yeah.
the kind of
Yeah,
physicality.
so- yeah.
When
Yeah.
we're together, what's okay, what isn't.
Yeah, even
and
emotional boundaries and spiritual boundaries
Yeah.
as well. Just like every aspect of life that we could think of having a conversation about, we did have a conversation about.
That's
Because
amazing.
how else do you feel 8 hours of time? So in answer to your question, marriage is like on the table for the future, and
Yeah.
that's what we're.
Do you have a shoelace?
Yeah,
to
it's just
tie
over
up,
here.
or- Final question for you guys. What are you excited about in terms of God in your relationship? How do you feel that together you can be for God in a way that maybe it like you wouldn't have seen if you'd just been without the other.
I think our personalities are so different that we challenge each other in a lot of ways, but we always end up in the same place, which is like kind of a weird thing, but probably a God thing. You know, and just so many things are like coincidence that we have done similar, but we kind of end up having a similar experience, even though we come at it
completely
from opposite
different
ways. So I'm really excited for the challenge of just getting, I don't know, just out of my comfort zone, but in a way that actually is really kind of safe and comfortable, because I'm following Matt's lead in it. And also just lots of things like Matt has started a new job in September, and that's something that I can really see God at work in, because it just suits his character really well. He's come with like a teaching assistant, and just
awesome.
Yeah, like it just really speaks into like he's really a people person. And,
oh my gosh, kids are gonna love you.
Yeah, and he's just like really encouraging. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of things, but I can definitely see God at work in you a lot, and that encourages me to step out in certain areas as well.
I think the thing that really stood out to me with both of us is that in our own right, we are complete people. It's like I don't feel like when I'm not with Ray that I'm any less of a valid human being, but actually when we're together, there just feels like there's this just extra thing there that I didn't realise I was missing until I found you, and then it was like, wow, this is really special. And actually, once you've found that, like, I just don't want to be without it. So it makes sense to just, like,
you guys are so cute.
And I think it's that thing where I've realised that I've become the cliche. Like I've been the whole.
You're the person we hate.
Every film I watch, and I'm just like, no way, totally scripted, never gonna happen. I've become that guy. It's been really funny because I tell people about kind of how we met and the journey we've been on and kind of where we're heading, and it does seem a bit surreal because if you'd asked me even a year and a half ago where I would have been, I would never in any circumstance come up with this as a scenario.
Yeah, I mean, who would?
And also it's such a blessing as well, because I never would have picked Matt. Like,
mate, I wouldn't have picked him for you either, and that is completely what an error. You know, like, God really knows what he's doing. Can I pray for you guys?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, it's time. Thank you. Just let go of each other for a second. Oh, Lord. Thank you that you brought these guys together, because I know it wasn't me, and it, the human influence somewhere may have been Isabel or someone else on the team, but ultimately we know it's you, and we thank you for each of them. We thank you for this job for Matt as well. Thank you for the kids that he's going to see and the spiritual eyes that you will give him to walk into that job, and we thank you for Ray and her heart and the way that she's growing and they're growing together. And Lord, we just pray that you would always be central to what they're doing in their lives as individuals and as a couple. And we pray for your blessing over these plans. We pray that next year would be the year that you abundantly bless them to the point where they're like, surely that's enough now. Surely God's given us so much. And you just keep going, because we know that no one can outgive you. We just pray for amazing things for the two of them as individuals and as a couple, and we thank you for them. Amen. Guys, this is it. This is the time for you to apply to go on Third Wheel Days. I can't promise you that you'll be planning forever, but I can promise you that you'll be having a great time, and we will do our very best to get you an amazing match. And sometimes I don't even know what that is. So click on the link and apply to join me on the show.